All right. This video, we're going to talk about solar savings. The savings are massive. It's almost insane. Like sometimes I have to pinch myself. Like not only is it better for the environment, but financially, it's probably the biggest no-brainer anyone could ever do. Um, it's pretty wild stuff. So I'm really excited about it. So I want to share that with you. And in order for you to understand how good the savings are, again, you kind of have to understand how it works if you don't have solar. And I think most people don't, not just college students, but most homeowners don't even really understand how they're being charged. They just kind of get the bill and pay it because it's a monopoly. You don't have a choice. So it's not really something that makes a lot of sense to worry about. So let me show you what the pricing has been with DWP, which is the main utility where we work. All right, so the best analogy, we talked about this with energy efficiency. The best analogy I can use for the electric company is they're kind of like a gas station, right? A gas station is, like a power plant for your car. Like that's where your car goes to kind of refuel. The only difference is they don't deliver the gas to your home, like electricity gets delivered to your home. You actually have to go get the gas yourself. But we all know that gas prices have been going up quite a bit. When I explain how electricity works, I'm going to compare it to that gas station analogy because I think that makes it the easiest to understand. Okay, so at the gas station, there's how many gallons you have to buy for gas. And we talked about that. That's kind of how fuel efficient your car is or how big your tank is. And then there's the price per gallon, right? And the price per gallon, as we know, over time has gone up quite a bit. Gas used to be a lot less expensive than it is today. So with electricity, instead of measuring electricity in gallons, we measure it in something called kilowatt hours or kWh. But just like there's a rate per gallon for gas, there's a rate per kilowatt hour for electricity. So I'm going to walk you through what that rate is. Right now in the country, the average rate is probably around 13, 14, 15 cents, somewhere in there. That's the average. As you might have guessed, in California, we're a lot higher than the average. Everything's the most expensive here. There's a lot of reasons for that. We'll get into some of them. But I think there's two things to understand. So number one is when you go solar, you can save a lot of money right now, which is amazing. But even better is you can save a lot more money the longer that you have the panels. And the panels last a really long time, generally 25, 30 years. So so I want to walk you through both, how much people are saving right now, but then also how much they're going to save over time. So let's do it out. So back in 2010, so 10 years ago, DWP had one rate for electricity. It was 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, so a little bit less than what the national average is now. Not crazy less, but it was higher than what the national average was back then. Basically, all bills go up over time. Usually, that's called inflation. Usually, it's like 2%, 3%, somewhere in that range. Electricity, on average, goes up across the country about 5%, and then in California, it's closer to 7%. And then in DWP, you're going to see the numbers in a second here. I'm going to walk you through the numbers in a second here. They've gone up pretty much more than anyone else over the last 10 years. It's been insane. So their price in 2010 was 11 cents. So it didn't matter how many gallons of gas or how many kilowatt hours of electricity you had to buy, you got 11 cents. So our average customer probably uses about 1,000 kilowatt hours a month. So that would be, $110 a month in terms of what they were paying there. Then in 2015, they added the tier system. So the tier system, basically you can see they have three different prices. So if any of you ever shopped at Costco, you know how it works. Like you buy in bulk, but you get really, really good deals because you're buying so much. So you get an awesome deal. You just have way too much of whatever it is that you bought, right? So with electricity, it's just the exact opposite of Costco. So the more you buy, the worse deal it gets. So what happens is they give you a small amount of electricity at their cheapest price. So this would be like if you went to the gas station and you were able to get your first 4 gallons at 15 cents per kilowatt hour. For your first 4 gallons in gas terms, it would be like your first four at like $3 a gallon, right? And I was like, okay, but obviously I need a lot more than 4 gallons. So after that, your price goes up, and in 2015 it was 17 cents. So you're still getting the same gas or the same electricity here, the same kilowatt hours. It's just because you don't, because you need more than 4 gallons, you get charged more, opposite of Costco. What happens is you start paying more as the month goes on. And then if you are someone that has a pool or a nice big home, what happens is you're going to go to their highest price, which is tier 3. So this would be like, if all of your gas was, getting charged at like $5 or $6 a gallon. And so basically, the more electricity you use, the worse deal you get. Just like, so at the gas station, obviously, the more gallons you need, the higher you're going to pay. But it goes up in a straight line because you're getting the same price for every gallon. With electricity, it's not only do you have to buy more kilowatt hours as you use more, but the price goes up. So the curve basically gets steeper and steeper as you use more and more. So it's really kind of unfair to people who have pools or live in the valley where you need a lot of AC. It just uses a lot of electricity. And most of our customers are hitting tier 3, and all of them are hitting tier 2. And so you can see not only did they add in these more expensive prices, but they just raised their prices a lot from 2010 to 2015. You might expect, prices to go up like over that 5-year period, 10, 15%. Instead, they went up 63%. So a lot of people in 2015, this is when solar was starting to get a little bit more common. There wasn't really a ton of savings there, but a lot of people looked at how much the prices had gone up, and they were like, well, they can't keep going up, right? There's no way. How could they possibly continue? Guess what? They kept going up. So in 2020, so last year, their cheapest price was 20 cents. That was their tier 1. That was like for the first 4 gallons. That was their best deal. Pretty much double what it had been in 10 years earlier. And then they went up to 26 cents for tier 2 and 36 cents for tier 3. So 150% increase over the last 10 years. So it's been insane. They've increased their prices drastically. Essentially, they've basically gone from like a $400 DWP bill in 2010 is over $1,000 today. So it's pretty wild how much the prices have gone up. And so when you go solar, you're able to lower your bill right away, which is nice, without having to pay anything out of pocket. And we'll cover how that works in another video. But the best part is that your bill doesn't go up. So you get protected from these rate increases. So that's what I always try to tell customers that maybe looked into this, in 2015 and said, oh, it wasn't enough savings back then. It didn't make sense. And it's like, yeah, I understand there wasn't a lot of savings, but it did make sense because look, if you were saving 0 in 2015, you would be saving 50, 60% now with how much they've gone up just in the last 5 years, having locked in that bill. So that's the beautiful part about solar today compared to in the past is we get to save people a ton of money, both in the short term and in the long term. So, I'll give you a good idea of kind of what this adds up to. Going back to my little PowerPoint here. So a lot of people don't realize how much they'll actually be spending on electricity when if DWP continues to go up, not even at how much they have been. They've been going up at like, 8, 9, 10%. But if they just go up with what the California average is, the California average is about 6.7%. Is what it's been historically. You can see in the 70s, the price was only 2 cents for electricity. So it's really skyrocketed. But what this chart is showing you here is if your bill today is, let's say $200, which is probably about average, that's what our average customer is at, that means that you're going to spend over the next 25 years, $131,000 on electricity. So that $200 bill, just if the electric companies just keep doing what they have been doing since the 70s in California, you're going to spend $131,000 $100,000 on electricity. And so our average solar system is going to cost between $20,000 and $30,000. So that means that the average customer that we work with is going to have $100,000 more in their bank account because they decided to do the right thing for the environment than if they didn't. It's pretty wild. So that's why we're like really passionate about what we're doing, and we're trying to inspire people to make better decisions. Like these are easy decisions, but unfortunately people are misinformed and uneducated. And it's not even just that they don't know how it works. A lot of people have heard things that are wrong or don't fully understand it. And when people don't fully understand something, they generally don't want to do it. So that's kind of what our job is to inspire them to get all the information so that they can make the best decision for their family. But for almost all of our customers, when they have the opportunity to put $100,000 more in their pocket and do the right thing for the environment, reduce their carbon footprint more than anything else that they'll ever done in their life, it's a pretty easy decision. So that gives you a good understanding of just kind of how much savings are out there. I want to wrap up this video just explaining why the electric companies go up so much, because a lot of people don't understand that. At this point in California, people accept it. People just know, yeah, it's going to keep going up. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how much. But I do want you to have a basic understanding of why that is. And it's the same for pretty much all the electric companies. So some of these slides here might say Edison, but it's kind of the same reason for all of these. So going back to the slide we were looking at before, you can see that there's a power plant here, right? Well, in California especially, our population over the last 10 years has grown quite a bit. And as our population grows, we use electronics and we use technology that runs on electricity more and more. The two huge users of electricity are cryptocurrencies. I don't know if any of you guys have been following Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those cryptocurrencies, but like what it takes to actually mine those are massive amounts of electricity. And there's just more examples of that. So that's just one of the biggest ones. And then electric cars. So electric cars don't need gas, but they run on electricity. So you have to plug them in. And so the demand for electricity has skyrocketed. And so as the demand skyrockets, we have to build more power plants. And there's a lot of old power plants that aren't really safe anymore, that have had to be decommissioned. So all of that costs money. In addition to that, I mentioned this in my last video, the power lines have been built a long time ago. So some of these power lines need to be rebuilt. Some of them need to be put underground. In addition to that, we've had a lot of fires. And when the fires start burning, they burn down the power lines, and those have to get rebuilt. So all of these things cost a lot of money. And because DWP or Edison are their monopolies, they don't have any incentive to be really, really efficient. The way that they make money is they go to a commission, so they're regulated, and they say, here's what our costs are, and then they get to tack on profit on top of that. It would be like if I told you, hey, you can go to the grocery store, just tell me how much the groceries cost, and then whatever it is, you can get 10% extra for yourself. You're not going to be really incentivized to cut a lot of coupons and save as much money as you possibly can at the grocery store, because you're going to get paid no matter what, and you're actually going to make more money the higher that your costs are. So it's actually more in your benefit to not be very frugal. And that's basically how it works with the utility companies too. Because they're a monopoly, they own the power lines, so they don't have to worry about someone coming in and beating their price. So they are basically taking all their costs, which they're not very good at managing, and just passing that on to the customers. And the way that they do that is through rate increases. So that's why you've seen the electric prices go up so much in those different graphs that I showed you. That's basically what's leading to it. And then also, as more people switch to solar, that's also less people that are buying their electricity from the electric company, which means that the costs are being split between a smaller group of people, which means that they're going to raise prices even more. So essentially, everything that's been going on is going to continue to go on. So it's a matter of how much more are the prices going to go up, and we don't know. Nobody really knows. But what we help people understand is that you don't have to worry when you have solar. It doesn't matter how much they go up. You've got your price locked in. So, in our next video, we're going to kind of explain how people can go solar for zero out of pocket. I just kind of walked you through how people are able to save like over $100,000 by going solar. But in the next one, I'm going to walk you through how they can do that without paying any money or investing a single dollar.